Dear Dhamma friends, today is the second day in our retreat. Accordingly, the second Dhamma talk along this series. And may everyone settle down for the Dhamma talk and give the consent with 3 times. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. Katame tayo dhamma bahukara sappurisa sansevo saddhammas savanang dhammanu dhamma patipatyati. Dear Dhamma friends, as I introduced yesterday, we are following the same discourse or part of that discourse known as Dasuththara Sutta, and it is a kind of a presentation or representation of Venerable Sariputta after compiling or after putting into a graphic form or tabulated form of the total teaching of Dhamma, of the omniscient one. It's a kind of a hard task to comprehend all the teaching of the Buddha and put into a tabulated form. It is not everyone's job. Venerable Sariputta in that sense, very specific as well as concerned about the preservation of Dhamma up to date, that means even after 2600 odd years, how to understand in the sequential order, in pragmatic order, or whenever something is missing, how to guess it, how to fill it. That is why he gave a second thought about putting Dhamma into this tabulated form, known as this Dasuththara Sutta. And there are, as I mentioned yesterday, there is one book, 1 to 10, and asking single factors, asking the specific question and giving the answer. And then in 2 factors, 3 factors, 4 factors, like going up to 10 and 10 into 10, 100 cages, each and every one filled in such a way. It's very pragmatic. Not only that, it has quite a rational kind of a presentation. So we have selected the book 3 and asking what are the most helpful or important 3 aspects one must know for one's realization and as a practitioner. Asking a question in form of 3 is giving answer also in the format of 3. He says the first and foremost, as we yesterday discussed, the association with the true person or a noble-minded person, or simply we call noble friend. So the Buddha being the first and the most qualified noble friend, we have a hope. But each and every one of us cannot expect such a completely qualified, comprehend noble friend. So therefore we must understand where to start, how to start. And so that you must not expect the completely qualified or completely comprehensive kind of a teacher, then you will never start. So you have to start somewhere which is pragmatic. You have to find a person who he is more qualified, and so you can take him as a role model. So I try to give 2 aspects. One thing is what are the qualities such a noble friend should have. And the second thing is, if you are following him, what are the kind of characteristic or what are the kind of change in your personality towards a betterment. And these two are the way of verification. So you must be really, really lucky to have a noble friend. So much so, once Venerable Ananda, the attendant to the Buddha, mentioned, after associating the Buddha for longer time, Bhante, this celibate life, or meditative life, or forest life, or monk's life, or mendicant's life is very difficult. But when and where you meet your noble friend, 50% of your difficulties gone, answered. So therefore, association with a noble friend is giving so much of benefits in the trip, in the journey. Then the Buddha vehemently cut off. Ananda says, Ananda, don't say like that. Please don't say like that. It's 100% of your journey is depending upon the noble friend. The moment you meet your noble friend, the journey starts and it becomes like a hobby rather than regimentation. So therefore, then onward, it won't be a difficult task. You can perform together under the grace of the noble friend, and ultimately it is leading up to the destiny. So when and where you get a noble friend, there may be number of ways you can relate it to him or associate him. And there also the Buddha mentioned, when and where a noble friend happen, the world expect 3 roles. Or you put it in another way, a noble friend appear very significant or indispensable in 3 lines. And one is, people expect magics, expect mysterious things out of a friend, out of a noble person, and due to that, or entertaining mystics, people follow him. That is the world, because people are always behind amusing themselves. So they select the noble friend also as a magician, expect kind of a miracles. So that was throughout the history and everywhere on the earth. So when and where you become a noble friend, or when and where you seek the help of a noble friend, you have to check, am I following him to see miracles or mystics or kind of a abnormal thing? That is one thing you have to understand, because it is quite natural for human mind to expect that kind of thing out of your superior, out of your noble friend. And that is kind of a dangerous thing in a sense, and ultimately both the parties will lose the nobility of the relationship. The second thing is mind reading. Expect your teacher, or expect your noble friend, or expect your superior person to read your mind and guide you. And that also the Buddha mentioned, the way people expect the role of a noble friend, and when and where that is happening, that his popularity also will be immensely increased, but never fulfill the task or never fulfill the liberation. So that is also possible second option. The third option is that just listening to his teaching and you follow it, and then you receive the benefit. So Iddhipātiharya, Ādesana-pātiharya and Anusasana-pātiharya. These are the 3 things can happen whenever a noble friend associating society at large. So Iddhipātiharya means showing magics, getting the credibility by doing miracles. And the second part is reading other minds and healing mental and physical diseases. This is also very, very famous and easy way to gather people, and because people always expect that kind of thing for their benefit, and that make their way towards the noble friend. And the third one is listening to what is preaching, and then he also must direct you to give the theoretical understanding, but the practicing part or rationalization or deductive part is up to the listener. So if you are a listener, if you are a person seeking a noble friend, you must always try to understand, am I associating him for miracles or get some physical mental healing out of mind reading, or understand the method. That is called patipada, that is gradual training. So that is what the Buddha mentioned, the Iddhipatiharya, that is expecting magics and performing magics and miracles. He says possible way of attracting people, and one person may find that noble friend is the person who can do miracles. He says yes, but ignoble. The second part is attract people through this mind reading. It's possible, but it is ignoble. Only the noble way the Buddha mentioned, just preach, just teach, just let the others know the method, and the listener must rationalize it or deduce it, put into inferential knowledge and see, is it worthwhile? And if someone understands this worthwhile, he or she may follow it to get the due benefits. So this teaching of the Buddha basically come under the third aspect. Of course there were some miraculous thing. Of course there was a mystical thing. Of course there was some incident regarding the mind reading and healing happened. But they are not being recommended and prescribed by the Buddha. So therefore, you as a seeker of a noble friend must make sure your mind, am I associating my noble friend or true man for this magical word or mind reading, or just to get the theoretical understanding. The theoretical understanding appear like the most inefficient method, but that's the only noble way, noble thing Buddha prescribed after explaining these three things. So therefore, when we are practicing as a disciple of Buddha, we must understand our tendency to associate people for magical powers or miraculous thing. And our tendency to associate people as our mind reader and expect healing or kind of therapeutic remedies. All these may really spoil the relationship with the noble person. And it may very lowly, very ignoble, but these are the things present day happening among the religious circles, and whenever someone is bragging or advertising, they are advertising and bragging with this kind of thing, but giving the responsibility of understanding of the teaching and to put into practice or try and see is a kind of very pragmatic way. This is the part, the beauty in the teaching of the Buddha. So therefore the Buddha himself gave 6 attributes of his own teaching. When we are daily pay respect, we say, Swakhato Bhagavata Dhammo, Sanditiko, Akaliko, Ehi Passiko, Opanayiko, Pachatang Vejitabbo Vinyohi. So these are the things very pragmatic. Any person can cross-check it. And therefore the Swakhata, quality of the Dhamma, you must be concerned about. Not only in Dhamma, but even in the consumerized society, when you are associating with some any theory or any kind of thing, you must understand if it is a quality product, it must has the Adi Kalyana, Majje Kalyana, Paryosana Kalyana in Pali. That means it is noble and good at the beginning. You must have kind of a digestible beginning from the point where you are. That means it must not be something magical thing. It must not be a leap. It must be a gradual process. Through that, you can easily incorporate into your way of life. So therefore, if someone is asking to practice this Dhamma, you must undergo this and that, or you must have basic these qualifications, or fulfill this kind of thing, that everywhere you can see political agenda. The way the Buddha teaching is, any person, anywhere, they can start, they can give a trial. So that is why it's called Adi Kalyana. It is beautiful at the beginning, so therefore need no any campaign, need no any advertising, need no any kind of a promotion, because a wise person can understand the beginning of the teaching. So when I was in Burma, my teacher was the Venerable Pandita Abhivansa, and he says whenever he goes to Western countries, people invite him to conduct retreats, and then he says, I am not going to represent Buddha. I am only representing Dhamma, that is teaching of the Buddha. Because believing Buddha, following Buddha is a personal thing. So Western countries never happy to pay respect to another being. Mind you, only the paying respect to another fellow being is happening in Buddhism. All the other countries, all the other religions, their supreme being is not human. So therefore, being omnipotent, omnipresent God is the cause. If you pay respect to another human being, it's a disgraceful thing for the God. So therefore, they never appreciate paying respect to another being, because we all are creatures. He is the creator. If you are paying at all respect, it must be a creator, not the creature. Creature can't pay respect to another creature. It is not the way the Buddha, the Lord created this world, but the Buddha, he says, the paying respect is a simple thing, virtues. More virtuous person can receive respect from the other. So therefore, whenever you are representing as a messenger, Messiah, that is, you are going to represent Buddha, you will be at a hell of a trouble. But you can represent, you can be a messenger of Dhamma, that is the teaching of the Buddha. And when and where you are going to give it to someone, preach, you must be a practitioner. Otherwise, you will be just passing the Dhamma which is not being tested. So therefore, whenever you associate your noble friend, you may get Dhamma through him. He is not the only source, but he also will be a source. And then you can see whether your noble friend is following the same what he is preaching, and he is preaching what he is following. So therefore, Pandita Sayadaw used to say, I am not going to represent Buddha. I have no any qualities to do that, but I will introduce Dhamma or Dhammaduta. That is, I am a messenger of Dhamma. And then he says, to comprehend Dhamma, just like Venerable Sariputta put this everything into the Dasuththara Sutta, is none of our business. We are not qualified. We have no such capacity. So therefore, the Sayadaw used to say, even though I am representing Dhamma, I can't claim I know A to Z. But only I am going to share with you about the Sutta Pitaka, that is about the discourses. And with that also, there are so much of thick books, one can't comprehend within one's own life. So much of theory is there. So if you are going to have a 10-day retreat or 3-day retreat like that, how to put into a sizable chunk so that other party can comprehend, other party can digest. Impossible. Dhamma cannot be transferred all, as a totality. So he says, out of the Sutta Pitaka, I am going to deal only the Satipatthana. Satipatthana is, according to my understanding, representing the practical part of the teaching of the Buddha. And when you come back to the Satipatthana Sutta, you may see the Sutta as well as it appears 2 times in the Tripitaka itself, in the Digha Nikaya and the Majjhima Nikaya, and Samyutta Nikaya also have Satipatthana Samyutta, a lot of piecemeal basis, and everything got together. It's a huge volume, and then he says, therefore, very difficult to give a complete picture about the Satipatthana. I am going to emphasize only the Kayanupassana, or mindfulness on your body. And he says, Kayanupassana, how to be mindful on your body itself, is a big task. So therefore I am going to reduce the whole teaching into one term, sati, or mindfulness, or the diligence. So within this time we have allocated, if I can give a starting point of the mindfulness, the sati, that's a key term in the comprehensive term of Satipatthana, that itself is a great task for me, and I try my best to teach you, according to my understanding, what is the meaning of sati. So I am also happy to repeat the same and redo the same. So therefore, whenever you are trying to see the early part of the teaching, that is beautiful beginning, I mean here, the how to introduce mindfulness to a beginner. Wherever you may be, whatever you may be, you can have a hope regarding mindfulness, and because mindfulness never asks any qualification. It asks only humanity. If you are a human, you can have a hope. Mindfulness. So whenever you try to understand mindfulness and incorporate into your life, it is just like when you are organizing a room, maybe a storeroom, in darkness. You don't know what are the things available. You don't know how dirty the room is. You don't know how to reorganize it. You may be heavily get involved in rearranging it. But mindfulness is like a switching off the room. So there you know the things where are and how to reorganize it in a pragmatic way. So without mindfulness is, you are a busy storekeeper working in a dark room. And you have very limited time and you are very engaged. But if someone come and put on the light, imagine what a kind of way that your work give the practical value. Likewise, mindfulness is giving nothing, but give a kind of a light. So you can ask any person, you can prescribe any person, rather than working on the darkness, why don't you put on the light? As far as it is available. So exactly the way Adi Kalyana, that means Swakkata Adi Kalyana, the first quality of the Dhamma, you can introduce any person. In my life, it is being introduced to me by an Australian monk. It's a born Catholic. And he was so impressed about this mindfulness. So he was in Sri Lanka and he tried his best to teach mindfulness to the Buddhist, but it was the most difficult task on the earth, because not a single Buddhist understand mindfulness as the core teaching of the Buddha. If you ask the teaching of the Buddha from a scholar, he will give you a list. He can't end the list by a A4 size of paper. He will say teaching of Buddha is the Four Noble Truths. He may say for teaching of the Buddha is Eight Noble Paths. He may say it is understanding 3 restraint. He may say it is understanding of the 3 main defilements, or other party, or Four Noble Truths. so much, no one knows where to start, where to end. So that is a mess in the whole, the universities, scholarly places, they don't know where to start, where to end. Ever keep on doing, and I have never seen so far any place for teaching mindfulness as such. If it is teaching, it may or may not be Buddhist. If someone is teaching, may or may not be Buddhist. So that hint, when Venerable Dhammika was giving me, I was shocked and I was really, really moved to see, I am also born Buddhist, but I don't know. This is the beginning of Buddhism. This is the beginning of the Dhamma and how to put into practice. So I gave him a list of disqualifications that I have for me to practice. He analyzed one by one and told, nothing disqualified for you to practice mindfulness. I told, I am an immoral person. I am behind the pleasure principle. I am an angry young man. So how can I incorporate? Because I think this practicing mindfulness is the very high being with the full moral capacities. I am not. I am totally at the side. Then he analyzed one by one and told, this mindfulness is such a powerful thing. What you are talking is trivial. What you are talking is inert. Give a chance. But I accept, apologize. It took 3 years for me to understand what is the meaning of mindfulness, but he was so patient. And teaching me, event by event, answering each and every question, and gave some books, something like Power of Mindfulness, and absorption was so slow. So therefore, when and where you met up with your noble friend, according to the way that I present, if he is not introducing mindfulness or satipatthana, I can't guarantee. If anyone is introducing you satipatthana or mindfulness, establishment of mindfulness, then that is an early sign to accept him as a noble friend. And is starting a far-reaching goal. So therefore, both the parties, the teacher or the disciple, but luckily enough, here it is recognized as noble friend. It is a friendship rather than the teacher and the disciple relationship. And your friend will make you mindful, diligent and vigilant, irrespective of your caste, irrespective of your age, irrespective of your knowledge, irrespective of your richness or anything. Even with no consideration for your moral status. When and where you introduced, it is the duty of the noble friend. He make it in a such a way, he introduce it in a such a way, you feel like put into practice. That is the pragmatic part. That's the practical part of the noble friend. He is not teaching theory for the sake of theory. He is not going to give you more golden formulas to remember. He won't give any magical formulas for you to add into your badge. Nothing but practical. So that is when and where you approach, when and where you introduce, when and where you start Dhamma, there's a very clear indication whether this noble friend that you have selected or the first aspect Venerable Sariputta is explaining, is it a pragmatic, practical and workable, down-to-earth person. And that depends on the starting point of the Dhamma. So the beginning or the introduction of the mindfulness is very beautiful thing because one factor. Unless otherwise someone introduce, you will never be mindful naturally. Even though you have the capacity, even you have the potential, naturally, your natural selection, never select mindfulness unless otherwise someone introduce. So therefore, it has kind of, even though it is not magical, in a way it is magical. moment introduce, and if you feel like put into practice, you are the very person to understand, yes, this is the way how it works. So therefore mindfulness, the beginning part, sometimes I used to say, it is introducing mindfulness to someone, and when the particular person verifying and say, yes, I know I am mindful because I am sitting, I know why, how do I verify my sitting? And I do focus on the in-breath and out-breath. When the in-breath happens, I verily knows it is not out-breath, it is not a sound, it is not a pain, it is not a thought, it's an in-breath. That kind of a verified mindfulness is for a person, the change, the leap is more than Nibbana. That introduction never ceases to exist, it is leading again and again to Nibbana. So very person introducing you, the mindfulness, easily you can recognize as a noble friend or true person, because it gives a kind of a perspective. You switch on the light in your room, or like when you are doing facelifting or doing a makeup, it's work like a mirror. You can understand what is happening. Each and every change, is it increasing your beauty or reducing? So always they keep a mirror. So mindfulness is like a mirror. So very introduction itself is kalyana, that means beautiful. So you can remember later, then onward, how much of your life is changing. How much it is going to add and make the least frictional path or the comfort zone. At the beginning, it won't give much of a result. It's painfully slow. But the changeover from unknown to the known, and that is the Adi Kalyana of the Dhamma. And if you keep on practice, if you wish to see Majjha Kalyana, the beauty in the middle, the single aspect is important, regularity in your practice. If you systematically practicing, regularly, punctually, it is ever catching the momentum. Whenever you stop the momentum, whenever you stop the practice, then again it like disappearance. It is going away from your memory, and you are losing the beautiful parts that you were gaining. Of course, it is not a permanent erasing, but dust particles like covering your memory. So therefore, once you got the idea, the beginning part, the beautiful beginning, then it is your duty. Not listening to Dhamma means not by listening while doing this job and that job. You have to listen it and put into practice. That means make it pragmatic. That's the way you can verify. And if you can do it regularly, one day you will understand the number of thought moments you can keep the object in view with increasing. When you sit, and how comfortably you sit, how relaxed way he sit, and you can maintain your comfort or experience your sitting comfort longer, day by day, because you know the ways and means how to start and what are the basic qualifications, preliminaries you need for longer sitting and to entertain mere relaxation. And that is the way you understand it is catching, mindfulness is catching. So therefore, the Majjha Kalyana comes when and where you do it regularly. And further, when and where you understand, now I am sitting, you can easily understand I am not standing, I am not walking, I am not sleeping. This is the sitting. And while sitting, while you experience your sitting posture, you may see a lot of activities, metabolic activities within your body, even though You are not moving the body willfully or consciously. You see, without any will, without any conscious activity, body is totally complete thing. It can run by itself without any egotistic idea, without any volition, without any will. So whenever you try it, whenever you experiment it, keep the body as much as possible without any volitional activities. You see heart is beating. You see breath is happening. Your hairs growing. Teeth, nails, digestion, blood circulation, nervous system, everything work. Of course, perfectly then when you are getting involved with volitional activity. When and where you do something willful, it is disturbing your metabolic activities. So give a chance day by day in an increasing number of minutes, maybe hours, when you give a chance the body to just be or doing nothing, you will understand how nicely the body is doing. Or how easily you can get the stand of a distance observer, and you can see just like a cricket match is going, you are just looking at the screen of the television, and if your chattering mind is there, it is like a commentator. He try to keep again and again commentary. And even without any commentary, you can see the match. But the commentators are going to take the higher credibility, just like your chattering mind. So, very difficult to observe it. Even it is happening automatically, your all metabolic activities, your mind going to take the upper hand, going to give commentaries, going to give interpretations. So we are so habitual, we can't just see. So it takes long time you are just to see choicelessly without letting the mind to capitalize the situation. So that is a kind of art rather than a science. Let the body to be still as much as possible. Observe it, and while observing, see these activities are happening perfectly, rather than you are disturbing your body. So when it is happening, your mind will pick whatever may be the most prominent thing. As far as the Buddha is concerned, he has experimented in such a long time, and he says, when and where you stop any volitional activity, or willful activity, or conscious activity, most prominent thing you can see is the breath. Therefore he says, breath is the ultimate, utter, intrinsic characteristic of the living body. It's called Kaya Sankhara. As far as the body is living, amidst of all the other activities, breath is the most gross thing one can understand. That is how the Buddha prescribed the when and where you focus the attention to your sitting posture, in a calm place, closed eyes, sometimes you may see in-breath and out-breath. Mahasi Sayadaw, Venerable Mahasi Sayadaw from Burma, he prescribed for the people, those who not perceivable the breath, the abdominal rising and falling, and that also another rhythmic activity out of the breath, and it is happening in the lowermost part of your respiratory tract, and the breath is happening in the uppermost part of the respiratory tract, whatever may be. And now you are more closer to yourself, you are more understanding rather than the posture, you can see what is happening. Even without that, if you can aware of your posture, you are utterly mindful. And when and where mindfulness becomes leading to one-pointedness, that is what we call the concentration, and that is the middle part of the teaching, says when and where you bring the attention to the body, that means when and where you are totally aware of your body, you are totally forgotten about the rest of the world. Those people have any kind of a relationship with the rest of the world, never be totally mindful on the body. They are concerned the past, they are concerned about the future, other people, other places. So much so, even for a split second, they are not ready to give up the world. So therefore, even one split second, if you are mindful and if you are aware of it, verifiably you are aware of it, you get the merits of donation or generosity of the total world. Imagine that you are giving a dana or generously to 1 monk, 2 monks, 3 monks, 10 monks, and we accumulate the amount of merits accrued, increase as much as the amount you give. Can you imagine giving up of whole world? How much merits? So a split second of mindfulness, total mindfulness on your body means you are ready to give up the body, the world. So many are not ready. They are, even for a split second, they can't do away with the body. They can't be with totally mindful with the body. So that understanding, beautiful at the beginning. But imagine one day you understand, you verify, yes, my mind is with the body. So you appreciate because now you totally done away with the rest of the world. So we can put it this way. Worries pertaining to the world is completely gone as far as you are in the body. So that is the way you verify how much worries you have when you are not meditating. Mind is worrying about the past, the future, other people and other places. And without knowing your pivotal point, your reference point, your primary object. And moment you bring the attention to the primary object, you are completely forgotten. Selecting body means rejecting the world. Rejecting the world of suffering. Rejecting the world of frustration. Rejecting the world of tension. And so that rationalization, you are not going to prove something, you get a walkover. You can prove it yourself. And imagine now, after appreciation that, you confine your attention to the upper part of the body. Then worries pertaining to the lower part of the body also gone. You are concerned only to the breath. And imagine now, after a while, you are confining your attention to only the tip of the nose. Then only the worries pertaining to the tip of the nose remaining, your total world, total body gone. Now we call one-pointedness. So you can understand how the concentration takes place, how the concentration follows when the mindfulness is advancing. So when that happens, you see, while you are living on this earth, you can direct your attention with the help of mindfulness to one single point. Maybe the tip of the nose, or top of your upper lip, or maybe rising and falling, or maybe wherever maybe you feel tingling sensation, or while you are walking, your total attention with the left leg or right leg. Each and every time you focus and verifiably be with that single object, and that is to continue. Thought moment to thought moment, it is a miraculous thing rather than tightrope walking. It's a miraculous thing rather than carrying fire underwater. So you become a evident or practicing person. Due to the miracle of this mindfulness, you slowly understand, by focusing to one single point, not only you are rejecting the rest of the tension of the pertaining world, the penetration into that object is make your mind like an electron microscope. When and where you focus sharply on the breath, you may understand, you know only the middle of the breath. You know only the tip of the iceberg. So you can't claim, I know the breath, because you know only the middle. And more sharpening of the mindfulness, more focusing of the mindfulness to see, if possible, how is the beginning of the breath. And then you can see the sharpness. You can see the alignment of the breath, and you really have to focus it, synchronize it, and moment you see it, you have to forget about the rest of the world in order to go deep into the breath. When and where both available, you know nothing. So therefore, sharpening to the early part of the breath, and then how it grows, becoming gross to the middle, and the day you see how it is disappearing, whenever you see the beginning, the middle and the end, so it is called insight. Your attention is not extrovert, it is introvert. When that introverting happens, the Buddha says you can find the end. One day, maybe. But if your attention is outwardly, extrovert, utterly at loss. Today, science is utterly at loss because they are extrovert. The Buddha used the same technique. Focus, attention, repetitive application, any person can test it. These are the criterion we take for the science. And introvert, when you go there, you can see within a breath so much of information. One Indian person is one of the 10 richest, one of the 10% richest in America. He says, the Chopra, when you have 100 years of life, it is counted by number of breaths. It is so much of billions. We have millions of breaths. We have the opening balance. I can't remember the exact number. He told, maybe if you are living, if you get the opening balance of 13 million breaths, you can live 120 years. But if you are very tensed, and if you are using very short and quick breaths, you will be exhausting them quickly, so you will die quickly. If you use breath very calm and in economic way, you will live long. So therefore your lifestyle, if it is calm and quiet, definitely you are to live long. But if you are with a full of tension and frustration and panting, then you are while away your time. So at the end of the deathbed, you expect few breaths more to get the most important thing. But while you are living your life, you are not concerned about the breath. You are concerned about dollars. You are concerned about the fame, gain, and all the kind of things. So while you are wasting your breaths, you never think it is the ultimate important thing. The moment you feel the attention, you see even within a breath, so much of knowledge, so much of understanding who am I, so much of understanding your inner well-being, or compassion, or sympathetic joy. And you can feel when and where you are utterly with the breath, the life is so smooth. You are not exploiting others. You are not transgressing anyone's human rights. You are not accumulating and using unwantedly consumerized way, and so economical, so human. He says, do not know how many millions we have spent our breaths and how many millions remaining. We are so callous towards that, and we take all other nonsense, trivial things as important, so much so you forget about the breath. But instead the Buddha says, if you are aware of your breath and if you are making it very calm, that is the way you value your longevity, your lasting peace, And instead, if you are concerned, if you are telling, no, my main duty is to help others and concern about this and that, you are an utter politician. You are cheating yourself. First and foremost, take care about you and your well-being, and then you have enough chances to teach others or help others. And otherwise, if you do not know the art of living, then whatever you are telling others may be out of compassion, but no wisdom. So therefore, moment you see the middle part of the Dhamma, the practicing part of Dhamma, understanding the breath, understand the rising and falling, understanding the walking path, left leg, right leg, understanding when you are washing a dish, understanding when you are brushing your teeth, understanding when you are eating your meal. And Buddha enumerated so much of detailed thing up to the point when you go to the toilet and when you are urinating and defecating, still be aware. That's a compassion. That's a real teacher explaining, taking the mindfulness not to the shrine room, even to the toilet, and says, you can use it. And the moment you try to incorporate, you see the middle part of the mindfulness, wherever your mind get disturbed, wherever your mind is fully tensed, wherever your mind is fully panicked, you can have your sitting posture as the anchorage, or your breath as an anchorage. So when and where you put your mind, you can mindful in your sitting posture, or whatever the posture, or be aware of your in-breath and out-breath, be aware of your steps. If you are walking, you can see immediately mind, of course, calm and collect on your trained subject, or your familiarized object of meditation, and you can do away with tension. When I do my MSc, the last comprehensive Viva exam, vocal exam, Viva Voca, I went to the interview board, and before that, 4 years I was doing a job, so I have no any understanding about the theory. I know I am utterly unprepared, but I am full confident, maximum will be failing, but to worry. So I went there, and the board came, and what I did was, I felt the tension developing. Just before starting the interview, tension developed. So what I did was keep the file in the desk, and go for 4 breaths. And when the 3-4 breaths happen, I become aware of my sitting posture. I felt my at-home feeling. I never felt like I am in an exam hall. I never felt like I am in front of an interview board. So when I opened the eyes, they were waiting to start and then ask a question. And I was start betting with the common sense. I don't know the formulas, nothing. And there was a kind of a thing happened. Then I got disturbed. Then I told the board, the later comers asking question, I am disturbed. It is disadvantages for me. So therefore I will ask the first question. Don't ask any other question till that. Because my simplicity goes. Ultimately board apologized and withdrew the second question. So I answered. Then I asked the second question, if you will. And now the board is under my control. After interpreting, they complained me, telling I have done my field trial before the theory. Why? How? Of course, it was the case. Then I told, I am a born farmer. I know agriculture. My father is a farmer. I know everything. So you mean that the theory is not necessary for your practice? I told, maybe. I asked them, do you think that all the politicians in the parliament have done the political science before becoming memberships? Parliament members? No, majority are not. But they are faring well. So they start laughing. So I got the confidence because at the beginning I had developed mindfulness on the breath. When and where you become mindful on the breath, the tension cannot happen. Whatever the risky thing cannot happen because you are at home. So don't do it. You can't practice in front of the interview board. You have to have already practiced technique. And that is how it helps in the middle area. People get so panic whenever something goes upset. Instead, what you do is, you go home. You come back to the breath. You come back to the body. And see, as far as you can focus on the breath, as far as you can focus on your sitting posture, it's a walkover. It's a walkover, I am telling. So that is what one can prove. Even before you go into the middle, you can say these are the benefits of the mindfulness. And when you are continue to practice, this is how it's going to help you. So therefore, trust it, believe it, and continue to practice. And the beginning also very good, because it is like opening or switching off your dark room. And when and where you go there, more you practice, more you develop the tolerance, immunity, and holding capacity. And in that sense you can see the outside world so childish, so shaky. And whenever something happens, they run panic. Instead, you believe the Dhamma, you believe the practice you have, and in that sense, what maybe your professor, maybe your teacher, maybe your parents, they are utter childish. Easily you can see it. They have no any reference point, they don't have any pivotal point, they don't have any trust upon their meditation. And when and where you have, wherever you go, it is like a turtle carrying its own shell. Your mindfulness is there. And more you undergo risky thing, unpredictable thing, mindfulness never lose the credibility. It's so credible rather than any other mental factor. And therefore you feel like not to get enlightened, even to get normal day-to-day activities, even to have a social relationship with others, even to have relationship with animals or trees or the nature. You trust whatever you develop. And therefore the Buddha mentioned, if you invest time on the mindfulness, you will reap the benefit when you are incurably sick. Still the mindfulness come and help you. Now you think hospice come and help you, or your medical health insurance can come and help you. They are mercenaries. They are exploiting you. They are grabbing you. These countries, you can't do away with that, because government is such a mechanism crushing you. Even if you are a healthy person, you have to pay tax. But instead, if you get the mindfulness, you see, mindfulness never leave you whether you are in a danger or not, whatever may be. So ultimately you develop kind of a confidence to tell your friend, tell your brother, tell your sister, this is what. Not a single other knowledge can give such a applicability irrespective of the time and space dimension. Mindfulness from the beginning, beyond time and space, wherever it go. And on top of that, it is promising you the total liberation. It promising you all the spiritual capacities. It promising you the lasting peace, even though it is not so prominent at the beginning. So therefore even the end itself is very beautiful. Once you come into this momentum, ultimately the development of mindfulness will be effortless. One day you will understand in walking meditation, when it is you are totally mindful, walking with the barefoot on the Mother Earth, and effortlessly you are walking, and what a nice thing, everything happen automatically, effortlessly, you are utterly aware that I am walking. Like as in the sitting also, all your effort ultimately lead you to the autopiloting, things are happening naturally, you are mindful. Then only you can make sure mindfulness is the best friend. You can, for sure you can replace your noble friend with mindfulness. Till that you have an external noble friend. Ultimately the mindfulness becomes the friend, and it is leading. That is how the Buddha defined. If you are taking the mindfulness as the teaching of the Buddha, or Satipatthana, foundation of mindfulness, and the teaching of the Buddha, that with respect to the mindfulness, it is easily, you can demonstrate how it is beautiful at the beginning, how it is beautiful at the middle, how it is beautiful at the end, so that the noble friend already given you something, you have start any point, there is no one need disqualified, more and more you put into practice, more and more you gather the momentum, the things become more effortlessly happening. Ultimately it becomes your second nature. Ultimately it becomes your gifted thing. And it is start to give good vibrations. Everywhere you go, you get attracted to like-minded people. Birds of the feather flock together. Mindful people, they are the best lot on the earth. All the other people are politicians. They are advertisements. They are with agenda. Mindful people, they don't have agenda. They have humanity. So they consider other person also as a human, not with other things. So therefore, unless otherwise you install mindfulness and appreciate it, easily you can say you are in a human form, but not with the human mentality. So therefore you while away the time. So even it's at latter age or early part of your life, no problem. So therefore, when and where you listen to Dhamma, take care. It is not just mere for the sake of listening. It is for the sake of understanding. It must be beautiful at the beginning. It must be beautiful at the middle. It must be beautiful at the end. Then only, or only then, you feel like put into practice. So therefore, without confronting a noble friend, this will not happen. And even if you physically, personally met up with the noble friend, if the listening not happen, if the theoretical understanding not been transmitted, then it's practically not the noble person. It is not what meant by this most useful. And once you met a noble person, and you listen to Dhamma and keep it to your heart, and the third part is, you feel like put into practice. This is the what we are going to take tomorrow. So leaving for tomorrow, that is Dhammanudhamma Patipada, I would like to sum up the talk today. So therefore check whether what you learned is it is pragmatic, you can put into practice. And while putting into practice, if it is going to give the momentum, that's the kind of a friend you have to associate. Then you have the good friend as well as the theory understanding. So you are armed with for the practical part. So your effort is giving kind of early signs, and you are the very person to understand it. Don't depend on other person or others' instruction, others' urging. Of course, at the beginning it must be there, but it must be self-verifiable. With that remark, I would like to sum up the talk today. Thank you very much for listening. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.